panelists as well as the moderator for the session. So I'd like to call upon Mr. Sanjeev Paul to all the panelists to please come up on stage so that we can start the session. Thank you. So one of our panelists is joining virtually, so I think the same would be there on the display screens also for you. Good morning. And let me also extend a very warm welcome to all of you on the second day of the 17th Sustainability Summit by CII. The last 24 hours or yesterday, we heard deeply about issues regarding sustainability. We understand the criticality of the subject. With the United Nations adopting the 17 SDGs, we now understand the enormity of it as well. 169, it's 232 unique indicators, all to be implemented and achieved by 2030. So the task is enormous, and many of us now understand it. It's a pleasure to see that some of our corporate members have actually taken the task with a lot of earnest, and it is my privilege to introduce representatives of 4 of these champions within amidst us, and I'd like to welcome Mr. Pradeep Singh. He is the Chief HSE and Sustainability Officer of Hindustan Limited. Mr. Vinod Pandey, Director of Government and External Affairs, CSR, and BMW. Ms. Julie Gupta, Sustainability Limited. So welcome to the 3 of you here. And we have Rohini Patel, Sustainability from L'Oreal. On the screen with us, she's at Singapore. She looks after the SAP MENA region for L'Oreal. So welcome to the panelists, and we'll dive headlong into the session, starting with you, Pradeep. I know with Arun having gone there, your focus on sustainability has increased manifold. How has been your journey, sustainability so far, and how is it that you are looking to embed it in the various organizations?
So I would like to hear, first of all, thank you to CII for inviting us in this prestigious summit and for sharing our best practices. So I would like to say here, our journey has started about 1 decade ago. When first we have established Vedanta Sustainability Framework, and this framework is aligned with, because integration is required in business. So this is aligned with like all IFC performance standards, ICMM mining principles, all ISOs 45,001, like 14,001. So this is integrated, also supported by assurance process. So there is a strong Vedanta Sustainability assurance process. So that is with respect to framework, and it is totally based on PDCA cycle. Next one is what we have implemented, and also this has been strengthened in last 2-3 years. That is our 3-tiered governance structure. First one is our, we can say, board level sustainability committee. For guiding or setting, we can say vision, ESG vision for Hindustan Zinc. Then to support that committee, there is EXCO level committee, ESG committee is there. And through this committee, the basic objective are to set some long-term goals. In 2020, we have set our sustainability goals 2025, including from energy and carbon up to the responsible supply chain, including like on water management, on circular economy, on biodiversity conservation. So these were some, this is being driven from our sustainability committee at EXCO level. And to support that EXCO level committee, there are 10 sub-communities headed by all functional heads. Just like I would like to hear one example. There is one goal to become 5 times water positive. So to drive that goal, there is separate community headed by one of our senior leader. And there are different like risk assessment, opportunities. Then we can say there are lots of projects, not only inside premises, even in community. Recently, in last year, we have implemented one of the major rainwater harvesting projects in one of our site, and we have been able to generate around 8.5 million meter cubed of this rainwater harvesting potentials. So for each and every goal, there are communities, those are driving. And third tier is committees at my shop floor level, my SBU level. We are calling it a strategic business unit. And we can say, of course, my corporate level communities, those are driving factor. And ultimately, it is being driven by shop floor persons. So these are some, I can say, major initiatives. And through implementation of these communities and the structures and framework, any business in long term can achieve all those goals. Thanks.
Thank you, Pradeep. This is impressive. So you now have a reasonably robust framework through which you are looking to embed sustainability right down the organization. So I'll move to Vinod, to the automobile sector now, the material sector. This is a sector where we are seeing a lot of movement now, Vinod, and I'm sure BMW is a forerunner globally into looking to embed sustainability in their processes. Let's hear from you, Vinod. What is it that you guys are doing?
Right. So before I proceed, thanks a lot to CII for this invitation. It's always a pleasure and privilege to be part of this summit, and so excited to be physically present today. So as you rightly said, sustainability has become the tenet of doing business, and this is highly valued at BMW as well. The world premium, we are in the premium segment. The world premium actually extends beyond mobility and services, include sustainability in all its aspects. It's a part of the corporate strategy, as is true for Hindustan Zinc. And therefore, right from the supply chain to production to the product life cycle, we are actually having clear, measurable targets for these functions, which is being monitored at the highest level. And why we have been successful, I would not say champions, but we have been consistently performers in that sense. But why we have been successful? Because it's a clear focus of the top management, how they have been able to embed the environmental and the social standards as a part of the corporate culture. This is what exactly has led to achieving what we have achieved so far. Our commitment goes back to 1973, when we appointed the environment officer, the first for the automotive industry. And we launched a comprehensive sustainability report in 2021. In 2012, we identified and set a goal for 10 sustainability targets to be achieved till 2020. We have been able to achieve that. We have continuously innovated, in terms of technology and product substance, efficient dynamics, Project I, which was basically a purpose-built electric vehicle architecture. And the sustainability agenda has also been massively expanded to be an integral part of the purchase process, procurement process, and also include the supplier ecosystem. So we think we have been on the right track, and the kind of recognitions we have been accorded strengthens our belief. Therefore, it also makes us a bit more bold and ambitious in terms of driving our future sustainability endeavors. So in 2020, we released our next set of targets, which is the full commitment to the Paris Climate Agreement. We're the first German automotive manufacturer to join the business ambition for 1.5 degrees Celsius. It's a campaign launched by Science-Based Targets Initiative. We also aim to have the entire value chain climate neutral by 2050. This actually makes us a part of the international Race to Zero initiative. We have a clear mission, as pronounced by our chairman, Mr. Oliver Zipse. BMW will make the greenest car, which practically means that we are not just talking about the tailpipe emission, but extending efforts to reduce the carbon footprint throughout the value chain. We are actually working on what we call a new class A. It's a new cluster architecture It's going to be a significant leap in terms of next generation electric drivetrain, digital technology, and a lot of elements of circularity. And this is something which will revolutionize, the future models coming from the BMW portfolio. This is something which will be launched in 2025. So if I were to kind of, summarize our journey, exciting, a lot of action, a lot of achievement, but still a lot of distance to cover. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul.
That's right, Vinod. Still a lot of distance to cover, and probably this is the decade where we will see a lot of action, primarily in the automobile industry, all other sectors as well. From Vinod, from the automobile sector to the FMCG sector, Jay, PepsiCo is one of the largest companies in the world. What is it that PepsiCo is doing to embed sustainability in their systems?
Thank you for that question, Sanjeev. At the outset, let me thank CII for having me today to share my thoughts on this very important topic of sustainability. Talking about PepsiCo's sustainability vision, we have what we call Winning with Pep Positive, which is our sustainability vision. It is embedded in the 3 pillars. The first one is positive agriculture. So we are working on regenerative agriculture, sustainable sourcing under this pillar. The second pillar that we have under PEP Positive is creating positive value chain. So all our efforts around water to create net water positive by 2030 falls under this goal. We also have vision on creating positive circularity for plastics, circular future for plastics. The third goal that we have is on climate action, and all the people pillar around D&I inclusion is also set in this goal. The third pillar under this is what we call positive choices, which is all about influencing the people through our iconic brands to make the right choices for themselves and for the planet. So we have taken ambitious goals around reduction of sugar, salt, sodium, sat fat from our products. We're also looking at nutritious offerings like Quaker. We had the multigrain Quaker launched recently. So we are also working with NGO partners to really scale up this vision within the community and include the social. Because I think a lot of things were said yesterday also around ESG, where environment and governance is covered, probably the social is left out. So we are also trying to integrate environment with social within these tenets. And I just want to give 1 or 2 examples how we are trying to do this. So within water, we have a very holistic 360-degree vision of where we want to go in terms of water. So we are using groundbreaking technologies to reduce water footprint within our own manufacturing plants. And we have something, in potato processing. Basically, we are capturing and condensing vapor from the potato, which is actually 80% of the water can be captured through that process. But here, I don't want to talk much about what we are doing within the fence, but more about what we're doing outside the fence. And we have a program which we do with our NGO called Alternative Development Initiatives. That program works on a watershed level. We are working to create rainwater harvesting structures at a watershed level. And again, community is at the very helm of this program. The entire water stewardship is done with the community, where they are trained into taking reading from the rain gauge. They are taking the readings from the piezometers and observation wells on the improvement in groundwater levels. Again, livelihood is a very, very important component of the program, where the communities, the women who are now no longer required to travel to long distances because they find the water in the catchment, are able to free up their time and engage in a lot of livelihood activities. We were recently in one of our snack plants in Channo. It was really heartening to see these women who were engaged in soap making activities. They had brought in soaps, organic soaps, baby soaps, which they've made. And when one level of aspiration, which is meeting their water requirements, is met, how they are able to look at the next level of aspiration, which is market linkages for what they're producing. So I think that has been a really, winning motto for us, looking at embedding social with the environment. I have another example in nutrition. We are working with Smile Foundation on one of the projects in Channo on nutrition. We are working on maternal health for pregnant mothers and lactating women. Again, this is very important because maternal nutrition means it's not only important for the women, but also for our newborn children. So we are working closely with the ICDS system to integrate the efforts that government is doing through strengthening of the Anganwadi systems. And we are working to ensure dissemination of balanced diets is given to the women. Rejuvenation of Anganwadi happens so that the footfall can increase and lot of more awareness can be created. We've also curated a recipe book with locally available grains from this, and the entire focus is on embedding this social and also bringing the communities on board with our plans.
Thank you so much, Julie. PepsiCo will always be a role model, and to see the emphasis on social, the people in the people, planet, profit, right? So wonderful. Let me move from the FFCG to the beauty industry, and we have Rohini on the screen with us. Rohini, what is it that L'Oreal is doing to embed sustainability in its practices?
Well, good morning, Mr. Paul, my fellow
Good morning.
panelists and delegates. I hope you can all hear me and see me clearly. Apologies, I couldn't be with you today in person, but delighted to join virtually. It's interesting to actually hear the different panelists and frameworks. I'll borrow from BMW, a German organization representing the EU, where sustainability for L'Oreal is not a new topic. So prior to L'Oreal for the Future, which is what the current program for sustainability is called at L'Oreal, we had a program called Sharing Beauty for All, which delivered to its commitments. And then in 2020, we launched L'Oreal for the Future with even bolder commitments for 2030. So as you rightly said, this next decade really requires all of us to come together, taking on, what we're seeing happening at COPs, from the climate accord, from what the IPPC tells us in terms of, radical things that we need to do differently in this decade to come. What I personally love about L'Oreal for the Future is that it covers every aspect of the organization and its impact and beyond. And so we too have a strategic framework with 3 pillars. The first really starts with us and about transforming ourselves to respect planetary boundaries. This includes climate, so all the carbon footprint really from across manufacturing, product design, transportation, down to each individual employee. Water, so it's very nice to hear each one actually speaking about water positivity, water recycling, water loop, biodiversity, and resources driving that circularity in our process. The second pillar is about empowering our business ecosystem, and that looks at how we partner with the extended value chain, and we've seen that again in some of the other frames. Be it our suppliers, our customers, because obviously in our industry we work with that front end retail, consumers who we touch, communities that either they belong to or that they touch, and employees as well that are very involved in sustainability. So there's a huge program of upskilling each and every employee and carrying them on this journey with us. The third one is about making contributions to urgent social and environmental challenges that the world is facing via our philanthropic programs. And so we believe that by delivering to these pillars, we can be a catalyst for change. Leaders in the beauty industry, we also feel this is a responsibility that we have to carry everybody with us as we prepare ourselves as a responsible beauty player for the world of tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Rohini. So you have a reasonably well articulated framework around how you're looking to embed sustainability within L'Oreal. I would welcome the audience to ask questions if they have any at this point in time. Okay, plenty already. Okay, so if you could just take the mic around. There are more rounds that I intend to cover along with these panelists that we have, but we'll welcome 1 or 2 questions at this point in time.
Yes.
If you would just introduce yourself.
Hello. Hello. It's audible?
We can hear you.
Yeah. Good morning. Myself, Tushar Patnaik. I'm leading sustainability of one of the FMCG company called Dabur. So nice to see you all this sustainability champion on the desk. I think this is a very good platform where we can exchange the ideas and people are really doing, whether it is a FMCG's company, whether it is a automobile sector or it is a beauty sector called L'Oreal and everything. So I am only three questions to the three panelist members. First to Mr. Pradeep. There's very good things you have told that will be 5 times water positive. So just I'll just ask the questions to three panelists. After that, you can answer. How will do the 5 times water positive? Three big initiatives so that I can take that initiatives and definitely it will help us to implement in our organization and other organization. That is only one question to you. Second to Mr. Vinod. Let's get in the automobile sector. You told that climate neutral. From the climate neutral, what are the three big strategies you will adopt so that you will be in the climate neutral? When it's talking about carbon neutral, that means a lot of things is coming into picture. Similar, 2, 3 major initiatives so that we'll be learning for us so that how it will be climate neutral. And thoughts to the FMCG company, GE. And I know PepsiCo is doing very good work in terms of field of sustainability, in terms of social fronts. So being an FMCG's company, I know in terms of what I will talking about water positive. Water positive in the sense you'll do more recharging structures and something like that. But a company which is making our beverages company, all the beverages company, where the water consumption is very high. In terms of, while you're talking about the sustainability, the 3R approach is there: reduce, recycle, and reuse. In that space, in a FMCG company where recycling percentage is very, very less, if you tell any of the initiatives you have done in terms of recycling in the FMCG sector, so that the water, while you are adopting the 3R approach, will help other companies going forward to that. So these are the three questions to my panelists.
Thank you, Tushar. You are stealing my thunder, huh? Anyway, I think so.
So thank you. Again, this is based on 4R principles. So first, we have focused our total approach, how we can reduce through technology intervention. So like there are certain air coolers we have introduced, adiabatic cooling towers we have introduced. The next one, at the same time, we have also sourced some alternative waters. I would like to share here, at present, we have established 60 MLD STP in Udaipur. And entire sewage generated from Udaipur city is being treated and used by Hindustan Zinc only. And through this, in one of our location, that is Dariba Smelter Complex and Rajpura Dariba Complex, we are able to reduce this freshwater consumption by 85%. So this is another option. Again, feasibility studies has been completed in nearby cities like Bhilwara, Ajmer. We have completed, and we are further exploring because we are having vision to minimize this, to 100% replace this water, fresh water being used in operation by 2030. So if any alternative low quality water is available, of course we will do that. That is second. Third one is recycle. All my, you can say smelters, those are having this ZLD plant, including ME, MER, and 100% this water is used. Only you can say solid is output from my ETP process. At the same time, because this was not applicable to mines, even last year also we have started our two of the largest mine, that is Rampura Agucha, as well as this Jawar group of mines. We are going to implement this ZLD process in mines also for their underground water. And fourth one is, of course, recharge structure is community. So already I have said in first talk regarding this implemented by my Agucha, that is 8.5 million meter cubed water. And again, we have engaged, partnered with some pioneer NGO for the implementation in nearby community. So these are some basic steps taken by Hindustan Zinc. At present, we are to 2.41 times water positive. Already that has been verified by third party. And we have taken at the same time to reach up to 5 times by 2025. Thank you.
Wonderful initiatives, Pradeep. If every large corporate could pick up a city where it will treat the sewerage and reuse or recycle the emanating water, I guess a problem of our urban centers would be solved. Even today, 75 years after our independence, not more than 15% of the cities have a semblance of a sewerage system. ideas like this could actually help a lot.
So, sir, there is only one input. We are successful in implementing this model because it was started in 2014 in different phase, and that was totally on boot basis. We have built those STPs and we are operating those STPs.
Very nice. तुषार, मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि मैं आगे बढ़ता हूँ, उसमें आप लोगों के कुछ सवाल निकल जाएंगे, and then I'll open it up again at the end of the session. In the interest of time, I'll move forward. I saw a lot of hands. But let me move on to the next set of questions. Vinod, I know you were itching to respond to these issues on carbon, but that was my question as well. And with the mic in my hand, I do have some privileges just now. So, see, of all the 17 SDGs, the biggest elephant in the room is goal 13. While each and every one of the SDGs are important, carbon seems to be, or climate action seems to be one of the biggest ones facing all of us. And we heard plenty about that yesterday. So, Vinod, this is your opportunity to respond to Tushar as well. What is it that you are doing as far as management of your decarbonization journey goes?
Right. So I think I take a step back, and Tushar, to a large extent, this question would also be answering what you asked. I think it's also important for us to understand what exactly are the trends that are influencing the future of mobility, because as you rightly said, a lot of action is taking place in the automotive sector, and what we are seeing globally is a very structural shift. You talk about environment, of course, no questions asked, climate change topics. You have got Fit for 55 in Europe, where they're talking about all electric vehicles, by 2035. You have got policy prescriptions on tightening of CAFE norms. CAFE is the corporate fleet emission norms. All these are actually leading one important fact. And of course, we can't forget the culture and the customer expectation part as well, because culturally, especially in the developed countries, you are seeing this willingness of society to adopt a sustainable lifestyle. Though in developing countries like India, it is picking up, but still, it will take some more time for us to be there. And the customer, and the best part is customer, where again, customer is willing to contribute his or her might to the whole sustainability cause, but they don't want to compromise on features, performance, right? So the whole notion of you have to give up on this, get that benefit, it doesn't hold good anymore. So if we were to translate this into sustainability, key focus areas for us, one would be an aggressive decarbonization of the supply chain. And we spoke about our net neutral ambition, but it's 2050, so almost 28 years from now. So therefore, it is also important for us to have an intermediate quantifiable target. So what we are targeting is by 2030, we want to reduce the footprint across the value chain by 40%, where 20% would be with supply chain, which means our vendors, 80% is in-house production, and 50% would be in use. So for any automotive company, the in use contributes the max and the most in terms of the carbon footprint. And when you talk about suppliers, I think the moment you start evaluating your suppliers on sustainability credentials, right? Giving them nominations that also includes this as an important parameter, asking them to use green power, in their premises. I think a lot of stuff is taken care of. When you talk in terms of in-house production, you spoke about 3R, reuse, recycle, and reduce. There is also one more R which would actually be sitting on the top. That is a rethink. So it's not just about rethink the process, rethink the product. How can you actually make it more environmentally sustainable? So for us, we are very clear. We have to work with partners. We have to engage, with multiple stakeholders to ensure that the target of 40%, decarbonization across the value chain happens by 2030. Second is, product. And for us, electric mobility is the most important, transition point. I think it's not only for us. I think for the automotive industry, if we have to fight, the climate change battle, transition to electric mobility is the most important lever which we have. Of course, there are questions around battery recyclability, upstream sourcing. That, of course, that has to be taken care of. But in terms of the in-use phase, electric mobility will be the important, pillar for us. And at BMW, again, very clear, we're going to be having a at least 10 million fully electric vehicles by 2030. By 2030 onwards, we are looking at 50% of our BMW portfolio, being full electric. The brand Mini and Rolls-Royce will become full electric, by starting 2030 onwards. And in India also, we have been able to launch 3 battery electric vehicles. Phenomenal, fantastic response. And we are very hopeful and positive about the fact that we should be able to achieve a 25-30% penetration for the next 4-5 years. Of course, policy stability and transparency holds the key in terms of maintaining the momentum for kind of quick electrification of automotive industry. Last bit, I hope I'm not breaching my time.
Not at all.
Last 1 minute, yes, it is on circularity, right? The amazing part is if you talk about our product, it's 95% recyclable, right? But when we use, are we actually using these recycled material as a secondary material for making my cars? No. This is where I think we have to bridge the gap. And the whole concept of secondary first has become so relevant now, right? So our focus is that currently we use 30% on an average, 30% of secondary raw material as a part of our, manufacturing. We want to expand this to 50%, over the next 8 to 10 years. And also, I think what we need to understand is that when we talk about circularity, it's not just the environment which gets benefited. Of course, when you use when you use secondary raw materials, the carbon footprint reduction is almost 2 to 5 times, vis-a-vis the fresh raw materials or primary raw materials. Therefore, it is, of course, from an environmental perspective, beneficial, but also from an economic, standpoint. So you have availability of, raw material. It also strengthens your local value chain and supply chain. And given the geopolitical crisis which we have seen over the past couple of years, unfolding, this is something which is also important from an economic standpoint. So broadly, a very aggressive CO2 reduction across the value chain. B, electric mobility as the future. And C is strong focus on circularity and driving the secondary first concept.
Thank you so much, Vinod. Plenty for a lot of other corporates to learn from what BMW is doing. Pradeep, I believe you guys have also announced your net zero targets 2050, right? And a reduction of emissions by 40% on a baseline of 2020?
Yeah.
By 2030?
Yeah.
This is absolute 40% reduction?
On a absolute basis.
Wow. So what is your pathway to net neutrality, and what is it that you are looking to do to achieve these targets?
This question I have faced so many times because we are from energy intensive industry. We are from hard to abate sector. So that is the fact. But at the same time, there are two things. Again, this journey has, as far as Hindustan Zinc is concerned, this journey has not started in 2017 or after COVID into 2020. At present, in our portfolio, already we are having 274 megawatt of our wind energy, 40 megawatt of our solar power plants, and 40 megawatt of our waste heat recovery boiler. At the same time, recently, we have also signed one PDA. This PDA is executed for the supply of up to 200 megawatt of renewable power by 2025 in next 2 years timeline. At present, of course, there is one, we are from hard to abate sector, but there is one opportunity, at least in non-ferrous metal sector, we are able to minimize our GHG emission through renewables. So this is one of the, up to 90%. So this is one of the major opportunity. And we are having 6 units of our captive power plants, and 100% sure in next 2 years timeline, we will be able to phase out, and we will be the one of the India's first company to phase out any captive thermal power plant in next 2 years timeline only. So this is part one. And second, we have never thought this again. Recently, we have also ensured now our one of the unit, this is Pantnagar, our metal refinery. Now this is operated 100% on renewable energy only. Renewable electricity. So this is another achievement. Second, some portion, it is hardly 5 to 7%. GHG emission is also, our HEMM is, are also contributing, which are deployed in, you can say, in our underground mines. So there is already targets, plan of action is already there. We have taken target to 100% replace our all LMVs by 2030. 75% replacement of HEMM deployed in my underground mine by 2035. And this is not only in target, Like so far, already we have introduced around 11 numbers of these BEVs. We have signed MOU with all global manufacturers and also deployed, already this has been deployed, first BEV in underground mine in India. So these are the some plan of action already in process, and I am quite confident with all this implementation. Of course, on you can say at present, so because we have also signed SBTi target, it was in 2017, it was signed. Then again, it has been because at that time net zero was not there. Again, we have submitted our revised target this last year as per the SBTi, and it is under approval from SBTi, but we are going to revise it from 40% to 50% for scope 1 and scope 2 by 2030. Thank you.
Thank you, Pradeep. Julie, whilst carbon would be a big issue for PepsiCo as well, but I think between carbon and packaging would be the bigger elephant in the PepsiCo boardroom, I would guess. I know there's plenty of packaging design, renovation, and innovations that you have done. But there is some initiative called Packaging 2025. What is this, and what is it that you are looking to do to make your packaging more sustainable?
Sure. So Sanjeev, thank you for that question. Again, packaging is also linked to carbon emissions, and we are looking at packaging in a big way to reduce our carbon emissions. Let me address the sustainable plastic vision first and then come to climate. So as far as the sustainable plastic vision goes, we have a vision where we see or strive to build a world where plastic need never become waste. It's rooted in the 3R principles of reduce, recycle, and reinvent. So we are working on reducing our use of virgin plastics. And again, in beverages, we have a technology of lightweighting our PET bottles. In snacks, we are doing a technology called compaction technology, which allows the snacks to settle down at the bottom of the packet, allowing for optimal packaging. So that's on reduce. On recycling, again, as per the plastic waste management rules, or the brand owners are mandated to collect back 100% equivalent of the waste that they generate to the sales of their products. So we are also working with the 8 waste management partners across the country to collect back equivalent of the plastic that we generate in the market. But what we have done is we are going beyond just the meeting the local compliances, and we are addressing some of the systemic challenges that exist, one of which is lack of sortation of waste at source. So we are creating massive awareness for citizens to better manage waste through better sortation practices. So we have led a lot of plug runs, cleanathon activities with citizens to really embark on this journey of effective waste management and drive home the messaging of better waste sortation. We are also looking at targeting one of the biggest vulnerable population, which is the waste workers, and trying to formalize them into the system, because most of them are not even formal part of the economy. So how you can formalize them and make them part of formal systems. We are working with a project with ReCity, which is working precisely towards that. And we are targeting about 100 waste workers in Mathura to turn them into waste professionals, linking them up with the government schemes so that they can be covered under insurance and other things. Thirdly, we are looking at circular economy. And again, plastics, like you mentioned, for PET, there is a very well-defined recycling ecosystem as it exists in India today. It's linear today, it's not circular. We are striving to go onto a bottle-to-bottle recycling, and there is a sea change in the policy environment that has happened. The government has moved from one spectrum of prohibition of use of rPET for food contact material to minimum content by 2025 in packaging. So that's been a big shift, and we really applaud the government towards that. We are looking at rPET deployment of 50% by 2030, which is going to not only contribute to a sustainable plastics vision, but also reduce our GHG emissions. So that's on the package.
Thank you so much, Juhi. To Rohini now. Rohini, I believe you have a reasonably long supply chain, a large value chain. Sustainability, if you need to be sustainable going forward, you need to impact the value chain, the supply chain as well. You have an initiative called Responsibility Beauty Initiative, I believe, which is a congregation of a few companies, peer groups of L'Oreal. Would you like to talk about that and let us know what it is?
Certainly. So the Responsible Beauty Initiative is, as you said, a consortium of some of the industry players coming together. And as one of the largest beauty companies or the largest beauty company in the world, this is really um, expanding. As I said, it's about empowering the ecosystem beyond us. So us as an individual beauty player, but also all of those partners that come together to really drive the industry. I'll answer this through an example of what we call our solidarity sourcing program. So while the Responsible Beauty Initiative was launched in 2017, since 2010, actually, L'Oreal has been running the solidarity sourcing program, which directs a proportion of our global purchases to suppliers who employ people from vulnerable communities and allow them to have a durable access to work and income. In India, I want to give an example of a very successful program we have with Solvay. Solvay, an NGO partner, Henkel, and L'Oreal. So that's an example of industry coming together and partners coming together to drive responsibility. And since 2015, they've been working with guar farmers in Rajasthan to improve their yields as well as subsequently their revenue. And over a 5-year period of 2015 to 2020, we've actually seen 125% increase in the yield and 143% increase in the revenue for farmers in the region. Now, guar is a natural polymer which is used for numerous products such as shampoo, cosmetics, food and beverages, pharmaceuticals. So obviously, this is a shift for us to move away from synthetic chemicals into bio-based, which are not harmful for health or the environment. Since the launch, for example, the initiative has deployed in 36 villages, enrolled more than 7,000 farmers, and importantly, 25% of these farmers are women. Who also go on to learn about growing their own food, so subsistence farming, hygiene, especially in the area of menstrual hygiene for women, water sanitation initiatives for the community to improve their overall living standards and well-being. This is an initiative, for example, of how we, through our solidarity sourcing program, but in partnership as a responsible beauty industry leader, believe that we need to do better for the people and the planet.
Thank you so much, Rohini. In steel, we have a similar initiative called Responsible Steel. The aluminum guys have an aluminum stewardship initiative. Similarly for timber as well, I guess. And these are initiatives which will, I believe, shepherd the industry to a more sustainable future. So more power to these. I'm told that our time is up, but mic abhi mere haath mein hi hai, and I will take that privilege and let you ask one or two questions. Panche, I can't let so many, let's have one from here first.
Yes, Sanjeev, my question to you. See, all the corporates are doing excellent work in sustainability, circularity.
SLA.
Pardon?
All the corporates
are doing excellent work. I'm Sunil from ITC. All the corporates we have seen, in fact, even ITC also, we are doing excellent work in sustainability, circularity, biodiversity. But see the people sitting across the table, be it the NGOs, or be it the government agencies, or be it the communities. Yesterday, we have seen some of the comments also. They always feel that we are not doing enough, or we should do more. Now, what should we do to bridge this gap in perception? I mean, there's a question to you, because many times I also think, like, what should we do differently so that we can bridge this gap in the perception or the kind of the mindset? Thank you.
Sunil, maybe I've, having worked in the sustainability area for some time, I have also become a bit of an activist. I quite agree with them. We are not really doing enough. If we were, some of the things that we heard yesterday, and we hear from everybody every time we talk about sustainability, that, the issues on climate are staring at us at our face. These 169 targets on those 17 SDGs, which we have to achieve by 2030, if that has to be achieved, some trillions of dollars have to exchange hands and have to be invested in the global south, especially. The structures for all of that do not exist in the world as yet. So whilst we keep saying that there is we need to be optimists, not pessimists, but I think we need to be realists. And the fact is, we are not doing enough. And each one of us has to look within and carve out their own chart or a path. To me, the role model is Greta Thunberg. That 16-year-old girl today is the leader of this world. She has put everything at stake to influence the world. And we who are talking sustainability need to think, what is it that we are doing? Sorry, thoda sa somber. We'll not end at that note. Another question. Yes, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I am KK Banerjee from CEIS, an environment NGO. I want to listen from the panelists. What exactly are you doing something for implementation of various applications of vetiver grass, which is a very environment-friendly vegetation for upgradation or saving environment or there are multiple uses of vetiver grass. I just want to hear from the panelists.
Pradeep, you would like to answer?
So I may give here some example. We have started this, you are very right. We have started this for the restoration of our waste dump yard in 2013-14 itself. There is some successful stories are there. And the same we have also tried in our zero fix yard for the restoration of zero fix yard. But in that case, this may be because we are in semi-arid zone. So that project was not successful. So these are two case studies we have tried to implement.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, ma'am, one last question. I'm sorry, guys. In the interest of time, I cannot keep on going with this. I'll be misusing this privilege then.
Thank you, Sanjeev. In fact, it's not a question. In fact, wanted to just add on to what you said on corporates. All of us are doing, but somehow the government and the regulators feel nothing is being done. I would say rather that all of us are not doing. Only a select few are doing, even in the corporate side. And also we as citizens are not doing enough. If we even talk about source segregation, right? How much of us sitting here actually do at home? So I would say it has to go down to each one of us at our homes, not just the top corporates doing it. So that is something, awareness is the key of it being successful. Thank you. I'm Garima from PepsiCo.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I believe at that note, we must end this discussion. It has been extremely enlightening, and thank you, Rohini, on the screen, Juhi, Vinod, Pradeep. The discussion has actually been excellent. You guys are role models as corporates and champions as corporates, and if the rest of the world starts following your example, many of the problems will start getting solved. Thank you so much.